In this video, I am going to talk to you about Booleans and how we can use them in our code. So you need to start by opening the two links in Google Classroom, play around with them, and I want you to think about what is the difference between these two links. Okay, so this is the first one, and I'm not even going to focus on the code. I'm actually going to focus just on what happens. So remember, to get something to happen, you have to click over first. So I'm going to press A, and when I press A, you can see everything's turning blue. When I press Z, it's also turning blue. Okay. In the second one, when I press A, I'm not pressing A anymore. It turned darker blue, and when I press Z, it went back to that lighter color. So it kind of is like turning on light and turning off, and that's the big difference between these. In this first one, it was only changing while I was pressing the key. And in the second one, it changes and then it stays until I almost like turn it off. And that's done using Booleans. So I want to remind ourselves about Booleans. It is Halloween, and so we are going to have lots of gifts with ghosts. This is my favorite one. It's a Boolean. I want you to remember that a Boolean is a data type that can have only two answers or values, which is true and false. Boolean statements or expressions are a statement that can be evaluated as either true or false. And we can use Boolean variables to kind of keep track of if something is on or off. I should have waited for this adorable gift. Get it? The ghost is turning something on and off. It's amazing. It's so good. Okay, so when we're using Booleans to turn something on and off, you need to do a few steps. You first need to have a variable that is set equal to a Boolean value, true or false. It doesn't actually really matter what it starts as, but it needs to start as either true or false. Then you need one conditional to control the change of the Boolean value. So like if I press the key A, then the Boolean becomes false. And then you need to have another conditional that controls what happens depending on the Boolean value. So I first have this variable, it starts as true. I have to have one conditional that says like if I click or if I press a key, it becomes false. And then what's going to happen when that is false? So we're going to go ahead and try this today. If you can open up an editor and title it 1.07 KeyPresses and Booleans AP, and then we're going to try this together. This is a great time to remind you that you should pause this video, rewind this video, anything you need so that you get this information. You should also code along with me. Okay, so I just need to name mine 1.07 KeyPresses and Booleans AP, and I'm going to add video after because for me this is just a video. Okay, I have made a rectangle. Hopefully you made a rectangle. Pause if you haven't. And I have put mine in HSB mode. Ultimately, I'm going to add a comment of what I want us to do. I want to give the rectangle a light color, a pale color, I'll say. And when I type F, I want the light to turn on, get brighter. And when I type G, I want the light to turn off, get lighter. Okay, so in order to do this, I'm going to need a variable to hold the color. So I'm going to go ahead and do that up at the top. I'm just going to call it rect color. And I think I'm going to start the rect color at, I want it to be like a yellow, like a light. So 60, 50, 100. Or even I'll even do like 30, 60, 30, 100. This should not be new to you. This should be a review. So I made a variable to hold the color. I've given it an initial color, and I'm just going to fill with rectangle. So if you recall, we have 3 things that we need to do, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to pull that back up. Okay, so we need a variable that is set equal to a Boolean value. Sorry about that. So this variable is going to be like, is the light on or is it off? So I'm going to make a variable, and I'm actually just going to call mine light on. Variable to hold Boolean value. I like doing this because to me it makes it like a sentence. Is the light on right now? No, it's not, so that's false. So I'm gonna, in my setup, I'm gonna say that light on is gonna start as false. Give the variable an initial true or false value. The light is on is false. That's why I used false for me. You could have done either one. Okay, so we did that first step. The second step is one condition to control the change of the Boolean value. Okay, so I'm going to come into my draw function. I'm going to give myself some room, and I'm going to add a comment. First conditional control change of Boolean. So I said if I type F, I want the light to turn on. So I'm going to put a conditional. I'm going to set it up. If key is press, that's how we tell the computer we're going to be doing key. And my key is F. Now you can do any key you would like. I first personally really like doing console.log. I'm just going to say F is pressed. This is going to give me like a good way of knowing if it happened. And in order to check if this worked, I'm just going to run. You have to click over in the canvas first before you press it. You can see it's working. Okay, so if F is pressed, I want the light to turn on. So I'm going to say that the light on is now true. Changing the Boolean value when F has been pressed. So when I press F, I want the light to be on. We could even change this console to say light on. And when I press G, I want it to be off. So I'm going to set up an else if statement. Key, let me put my curly brackets. Key is pressed and key equals G. Console.log, I'll say light off. And we'll put that the light on equals false. I'm just going to go check it out and make sure that they're both working. F light on. I think I went to J, but we'll stick with the G. G light on. Light on, light off, and so on. Okay, so this is the first condition. It's just changing the Boolean value. The next condition we need to do is we need another conditional that controls what happens depending on the Boolean value. So that was our first conditional. I'm going to add now a second conditional. Second conditional. Sorry, my spelling's off today. Controls what happens based on the Boolean. Now, I will say I didn't have an else here because I don't actually care what happens if I'm not pressing any key, because it will either be true or it will be false. So I'm going to say if, I'm going to start with like the light is on. If the light is on, then I want the color, the rect color, to be brighter. So I'm going to put 60, I'll put 100. And 100. And then I'm going to say, I could either do else if light on is false, or I could just do else, because remember, if it's not true, then it's false. I'm going to put that I want the rect color to be back to this like really pale yellow. So if the light is on, if the light is off. Let's check it out. So I press F, it goes on, and if I press G, it goes off. And it stays that way. It's pretty awesome. Okay, I want you to try and make another shape and see if you can turn that one on and off. Make another shape and see if you can get it to turn on and off with different keys. Okay, let me know what questions you have.